This Let's Play of Bryte was sponsored by Roll20. To see more information about Bryte itself, check out the links in the description below. Hello and welcome back to Dicebreaker, where today we have been sponsored to play the Roll20 Bryte RPG, a game set in the outer reaches of space as the very galaxy itself burns ever smaller from a giant phenomenon that's big and orange, and it keeps killing everything.
Whoa.
I'm joined. I know, right? I'm joined by three members of the Dicebreaker team, including Alex Meehan. Hello.
Hey, it's
Alex Lowleys. Hello.
Yo, what's up?
And Matt Jarvis. How are you doing?
It's me. Hello. I'm alright. I'm looking forward to this.
Let's have a quick moment. Everyone can see some previews here on screen because we are using Roll20, as you would probably expect.
It's exclusive to Roll20, right?
Yeah.
Like, This is the RPG they've made for Roll20 and Roll20 only.
Exactly. So we're going to be looking at some of the characters that we've got here. Now, this is a pre-made module, which is called Burning Daylight. In which we're going to be... Well, I won't spoil too much about what's coming up, but essentially we're going to be dealing with an organization called Daylight. We are going to be very much doing a much smaller, much more streamlined look at this campaign world, because obviously we don't have 6 hours to spare, especially given how we usually play RPGs. So let's have a look at some of the pre-generated characters that the gang have named themselves, and we'll start with the one on the very left here, Jerry B. Mouvet.
Thank you for pronouncing it properly, Wilt. I appreciate it. Jerry B. Mouvet is well, let's do this properly. They are Kifuk. I believe I've said that correctly.
No swearing, please, Mian. This is a family channel.
Sorry, space swearing specifically not allowed. Yeah, they are a kind of insect race or species who kind of operate as a big, essentially a hive society, where they're all very cozy with one another. They all work together, sleep together, not like that.
Very cozy.
They're very family and sort of friend orientated, very social. Jerry B. Mouvet is specifically a...
I just want to point out there is a section here called Kithuk names, of which the examples are Ferg, Greaser, Cree, Luvis. I'm not seeing any Jerrys.
You know, just because they're a hive species doesn't mean they're all the same. They are. They are very sociable. They serve a role on the ship as kind of bringing this motley crew together. Sometimes they can cross some lines in terms of not really knowing social cues. It's a bit awkward, especially if you're used to everyone being real close to you. If the people on your ship aren't so into that, hijinks ensue. So that's Jerry. That's Jerry B. Mouvet.
So in Bryte, just very quickly, we are going to be using a dice system that I've not seen anywhere else before. Essentially, you're going to have between a D4 and a D12 and a skill, with D12 being the best and D4 being the worst. As I agree, to be honest. But there is essentially a complexity system where, based on how difficult an action is, from a minimum of 2 up to ridiculously difficult at 7, you are going to roll that many of that die number, and you fail if you roll a double. That's it. As long as all of your dice results are different from each other, you've succeeded. So on a D4, that is a lot harder than it is on a D12, for example. But we will move on to our middle character here, taking up the biggest amount of room. Domestic 412 or 412?
412, please. Yes, so
412 was my father.
So the number actually refers to how many times you've been reincarnated.
Right.
As a robot. So in some ways you're right. So I am playing a Peacecraft. So Peacecrafts are kind of like Gundam and Transformers in that they're big old mechs, apparently ranging from like 15 feet to 300 feet or something ridiculous.
You mean to tell me that you're not actually a knockoff MMO?
No.
Trying to make it big.
So they're kind of interesting in that they are these massive mecha or mechs. They are outfitted with a load of armaments. They were created eons ago by the Paxson, but
I've
have
just
stuck
seen
around.
the planet Pax. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Whoa! That's
but-
weird.
Despite being these massive war machines, they're actually they're very peaceful, hence the name, Peacecraft. So despite being outfitted with guns and flamethrowers and what have you, they just want to live a quiet life. They just want to get along with everybody. But they're like these organic robots that used to be piloted by the Paxson people. And now they are just sticking around as these big old robots, kind of out on their own. So yeah, Domestic used to be a war machine as suggested by the Doom, but it's now trying to make a peaceful life.
Amazing.
And last but not least, I feel like you're going to have some curveball ideas of what this character might be, but we'll see. It's Bugs Funny.
Well, hello. Yeah, I will be. I will be playing Bugs Funny, which is they are Aurora Nan, which is essentially like I'm made up of just a huge number of bugs that have all are I guess all flying around together to create this kind of like humanoid looking figure. So I also operate in a hive mind, like everyone who's in the hive knows what's going on. I've also looked at some of my abilities. I can do things like split into two by sending some people over there, some people over there, and then I've got two of me. Think of it like a Borg, if you will, where we're all connected in the same knowledge and the same voice and brain and stuff, but it looks like I'm just one cool dude.
Imagine 100,000 tiny Borgs moving as one man.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah.
All right, so we'll just have a little preview of Bugs Funny's skills here as well. So we'll be able to see some of the sort of specialties that everyone has, but more than just that, and whilst it's going to start off pretty basic, especially in this adventure, the crew also have a ship, which you'll find yourselves in right now. So this is very much like a sci-fi spacefaring adventure that you can be playing when you're playing in Bryte. So please introduce us to the ship. What's it called? Why is it called that, Lodies?
Me?
Yeah.
It's the USS Chaos. That stands for Cool Heroes Adventuring Outer Space.
Adventuring outer space.
Yes.
And
Lolies.
cool.
Sorry, Lolies, how is that spelled specifically?
I think that's
That
what Matt
is
was going for as well.
Oh, sorry.
KHAOS.
Yeah.
Cool. Of course.
And that is how you spell the word cool and the word chaos.
It's
So
how you spell cool if you really mean it.
Yeah.
Before we move on, by the way, what is everybody's character's pronouns?
They, seeing as I've made up of lots of them.
Yeah, I believe that the Kifuk don't really have pronouns, by the looks of things, so they would also be appropriate.
And they is appropriate for me because I'm a robot.
yeah, screw you pronouns. All right. Okay. So a quick warning that the lore, as is in any RPG where it has its own world, is quite dense. So we're not going to be experts.
If you couldn't tell from Bugs Funny and Jerry Mouvet, we're not quite sticking to the official lore as
Yeah, but
written.
when do we? Even when we know the lore, we still don't stick to it.
Yeah, we make our own laws.
We make our own lore, man.
But to give you a brief introduction to the world, we are going to head on over to this little map here, the Alaxis map. So this is the galaxy as you know it. This is the Alaxis Galaxy, and I've zoomed out way too far. There we go. This is the Alaxis Galaxy where you live, and you can see that essentially it's being eaten by a giant phenomena called the burn. It is a strange orange and red complexioned, almost like one of those like starburst nebula sort of effects, that is just literally eating matter around the edges of the galaxy and is closing in every day. Scientists are trying to figure out why this is happening and if there's anything they can do about it, or if everyone is just doomed for the rest of eternity. Whilst there's not 100% knowledge on what happens on the other side of the burn, it seems to be that it is literally just a lack of existence.
Great.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah, it's not the kind of place where you're like, I think I'll just poke around there, see what's going on behind the burn. Oh no, I'm atoms.
Quick
Imagine.
question. I
Yes.
just see black. Is that what I'm
Oh,
supposed
sorry.
to
Hold on. I
Same.
might have to shove your ship in there so that you can get. Does that help?
There we go.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think you might also need to give us some vision,
yeah.
because
We-
there's no background or anything like that.
Can somebody take a note of
Yeah.
14 minutes 50?
Yeah.
You got it. It's probably like fog of war settings, I'd guess.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it individually for each
Yeah,
map.
but
So.
I try to remember how I did it last time.
Dynamic lighting for this one off. Does that work?
Oh,
Oh.
yeah, that's it.
Okay,
No, I
sweet.
can see it.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. Yeah, that should be fine.
Oh yeah, we're zooming around.
Yeah, okay, cool. Sweet. Right, jumping back in.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I've plonked down your ship here. Actually, probably a little bit further here. So you can see that the galaxy is split into sort of like 3 layers. Like an onion, or an ogre, if you will. The galaxy is split
Yeah.
into 3 areas. They all have different levels of affluence based on how far away they are from the burn. So the Heart World's right in the center of the galaxy, including Pax, which is where you were built, Matt, is incredibly rich, is full of like great austerity, where it's just the rich are just getting richer and they're having a great time. And
Good
the
times.
further you move out to the reaches of the galaxy, like the mid-belt, for example, is full of laborers and people doing actual work and earning all of the money.
Great to know the class structure survives far
Yeah.
into the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
And right out on the outskirts in the Ghost Belt is essentially like a graveyard, right? There's ruins, there's like abandoned and stripped planets, there's all of the things that people have left behind as they have fled from the burn itself. You are currently in the Ghost Belt because you are, of course, cool adventurers out in space. I've already forgotten the acronym.
Adventuring outer space.
Adventuring
Come
outer
on.
space. Cool heroes. Sorry, there we go. So you have been sent on what is essentially a very simple collection mission. You have turned up to meet some probably quite dodgy characters who are selling a piece of cargo that you have not been given the information on what this thing is, but they have, without any trouble, placed this massive crate, which is almost as tall as domestic. Like, it's huge. And they have placed it inside the cargo hall on your ship and have sent you back to Murtaff, which you can see up and right from you, which is where you are going to then drop it off. You're essentially doing like a courier job. Like you're picking something up, dropping it off, and you're getting a delivery fee. You are sort of like freelancers, right? So you're going to be going around the galaxy doing jobs like this all the time. So far, although you've never heard of the people that you've been buying off of, and they seemed a little bit shifty, so far this has seemed pretty toward, right? There's nothing bad that has happened so far. We head back to then the Wanderer, where you are currently just chilling in the kitchen, as you know, as the magical intelligence that runs the ship is currently autopiloting yourselves back to Murtaff, and you know, you're just having a little chat. What do folks like you chat about in the depths of space?
Well, I'm
Want
all my.
anyone-
Sorry.
Want anyone like a snack?
You can hear about like 10,000 voices, tiny voices going, "Yes, please."
Please order the same thing.
No, they all order different things.
How big is each little bug?
I don't know, like this.
So I feel like you could just shove like a mass of food and you could just kind of onto it, you know? Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
but they don't all want the same thing, and that's the problem.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I
It's
think
like the worst game of Tapper.
domestic would take whatever the space equivalent of a chicken is, just like a
A space chicken.
Space
huh?
chicken.
Yeah,
Yeah, a space chicken.
Yeah.
Or a spachicken, as they
Chicken,
as the-
yeah.
and
colloquially
using
known.
like the arm-mounted flamethrower on their arm, they
Oh,
just hold it and toast it. But I think the thing with domestic is they're still learning how to operate in a non-war environment. So they kind of set the flamethrower off, but immediately the chicken is just fried to a crisp. And then domestic just offers it to Bugs Funny.
It's
I
still
think-
like molten.
About 10% of the bugs go to eat it. The rest are either not interested in burnt food or vegetarian. So,
Burn
I thought you were a hive mind.
Burn
Yeah.
bright, more like burnt chicken.
Domestic then gets out like a lettuce and just repeats the entire process and just hands the completely fried
This
lettuce
is how cooking
to the
works.
vegetarian half of Bugs Funny.
and about, I would say, 15% of the bugs eat that.
I hope we get accurate percentiles for every single action that you do, ladies.
Yes, of course.
It's a good thing I don't feel emotions.
I think the entire time this is happening, Jerry B. Mouvet has just been talking, regardless of whether you've been listening or not. Just like has gone off on a huge tangent, just regaling you everything about their life, their family, their history, their family history. Just like, oh yeah, when I remember when my mother told me, and it's just going on and on, like about my great grandfather. Just yeah, you've become so used to it now that it's just become background noise.
Just tuning it out, yeah.
Yeah, like oversharing is Jerry B. Mouvet's main thing.
Well, you're all making quite a lot of noise, which is why you're so surprised when you're all interrupted by from the back of the ship. Just like a cold, hard thunk on the ground. You're pretty sure that there's nobody else in the ship with you, but it seems to be coming from the cargo bay, which fills you with a bit of suspicion.
The Bugs Funny does this kind of like, but because there's so many voices doing it, it sounds like really vibraty, like
Yeah, Jerry B. Mouvet is like, "You okay, Bugs Funny?"
what was
Never
that?
Never mind. What was that noise?
What's the deal with that noise?
Yeah, Jerry B. Mouvet. Can they tell whether it's come from?
It absolutely came from the back of
Yeah,
the ship, which is
okay.
where the cargo bay is. It's also where the airlocks are, which, you know, there's a couple of reasons why having a big sound that you're not prepared for coming from that area might be slightly worrying.
I think Jerry's gonna just start like flying.
Can you fly?
Yeah,
Oh, amazing.
yeah. Technically, I don't know whether Kifik can, but I'm just gonna say.
Oh, but Jerry B.
Jerry.
Mouvet can. All right,
Jerry
got it. Yeah. It's me thinking you'd read the book or something.
Let's just say that Jerry has a backpack on,
Okay,
like a jetpack backpack.
like a
Jetpack
Lloyd in
backpack.
space jetpack backpack, if you will.
Yeah, and it happens to make a sound that's very similar to insect wings flying.
Okay, so you moving back to the cargo bay.
Yeah, Jerry's just gonna pop on over there.
Okay, cool. So you very very casually make your way around, and you're not hearing anything as you get closer. And as you just sort of like round the corner, there, just as it was when it was loaded in, is that huge crate. It doesn't seem to be making any kind of noise right now. It's very much static. Like there's no reason for you to think that it was making noise. And you check behind you, look at the airlocks, and they haven't been touched. Like nobody's come into the ship. You check the logs. There's no one who's been sneaking into the back of your ship unaware. And you take a moment to just go, what was that then?
Yeah, Jerry says, what's the deal with that noise?
But then, and you hear it very clearly now that you're right next to the cargo bay, you hear a very similar noise, and this time it's very clear that it's coming from the massive crate. It does not sound like a sneeze, but it sounds just like the kathunk that you heard earlier. Bless you, ladies. Just like the kathunk that you heard earlier. But before that noise, you can hear like a kathunk.
Do we know what's in this box?
No, you've specifically been told not to look in the box, in fact.
I think Jerry's just going to yell to the other two, hey guys, I think there's something going on with this box.
Can Domestic make their way towards this wall and just, like, most direct course, just, like, laser a hole through the wall and just, like, move in a direct, straight course towards Jerry Boumouvet? It's also worth saying, I think Domestic is so tall that the whole time they're kind of hunched over to fit in the spaceship.
You're like
really
a minimum
awkward.
of 15 foot
like
tall, yeah.
Gandalf in Bilbo's house, kind of, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's do our first skill check then. So, the way that skills work in here, it's sort of like you might expect from Blaze in the Dark and things like that, where the skills are not prescriptive but descriptive. So you have the option to use any skill to do anything, but obviously there will be some that don't make any sense, but there will also be some that you'll have to do something a little bit more complicated to try and make it work. So, for example, to laser yourself through a wall, is there a specific skill that you would like to use, Matt?
I would say that it's probably physical power. Mm-hmm. I think it's more that than melee. It's just kind of pure, you know, firepower. Of
Just
this,
just
laser
unleashing the
coming off
power of whatever wrist laser you have attached to yourself.
Exactly,
right now.
yeah.
Okay, cool. So, this is not a very complex action. I'd say this is a pretty standard one. It's not necessarily easy to get through the hard, thick metal plating. So we're going to call this a complexity 3 roll. Right. So that means that Matt is going to roll 3, in this case, d10s, which is going to roll them for us on the screen once you go.
Let's roll.
And we're looking for no doubles.
Hey, look at that.
No doubles there. So that is a 2, a 4, and a 9. No doubles there, so that means that is a success. So Bugs Funny, you can see it happen.
Is that a good thing, though? Destroy part of the ship.
It's a success in Matt's terms. Whether it is for you two, I don't know. But yeah, Bugs Funny, you just see Domestic to sort of grab their wrist and just point it like Buzz Lightyear at the bottom left corner of the wall. And then on the other side, Jerry B. Mouvet just sees like a sort of part of the metal just get like white hot, and then just a bit of laser just goes through it, and like a blowtorch, you just see them carve through the wall.
How far does this laser extend?
About as far as where the crate is.
Okay, thank goodness. Otherwise, Jerry's going to be in a bit of trouble.
I have a question. So the crate, I would like to also move over towards where my good friend Domestic is and stand beside him. So now that we can see the crate, I'm assuming it's like a closed crate. Is there any kind of like little holes, like breathing holes or anything like that?
There's no breathing holes. It is a reinforced metallic crate. It has a sort of like like a green, like dark green texture with white pinstripe markings on it. Just sort of like 2 or 3 of them on either side. But as the laser is going through the wall, it's also damaging the crate itself. So you can see that whilst it's not piercing through the metal quite as much, it definitely, if Domestic were to actually power the laser directly into the crate, you'd definitely be able to carve it open. But Jerry, like, you can swear that you can hear like a sort of noise from inside the crate as the laser is warming up the metal.
I think Jerry's gonna go up to the crate, and they're gonna like I don't know if they have ears. I don't think they do. I think they have like feeler things.
Yeah, you got vibration detectors or something,
Yeah,
right?
so Jerry's gonna put their like antennae against the crate, and then they're gonna say, "Hey, anyone in there?" Or...
Right, give me a roll. I would say this is probably perception.
Okay.
But feel free to argue against that. And I would say that this is probably just another 3 complexity action.
Okay. Let's roll some perception.
Those are doubles, which means that is technically a failure. So, as you place your antenna against the metallic crate, you can hear like movement from inside the crate, but you have no idea what is happening inside there. You don't know if it's like a sort of liquid that's just sort of like settling every time the ship moves, or if there's some kind of like strange material in there that moves itself. Or it could just be some kind of living creature. You have no clue whatsoever. All you know is there is some kind of movement happening inside the crate. Yeah, so there's no like clear distinction as to what's inside this box, but there's definitely movement.
Something, and it's making noises.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think Jerry's gonna just yell out over the noise of the of the burning metal. Hey, Domestic, do you really think it's a good idea to do that? We got an entrance right here. It's a really good entrance.
Oh, I'm very sorry.
Domestic gestures to Bugs Funny as they step through the hole that's now been created. They kind of take the metal panel or circle that's been cut out, just kind of grip it in one hand for a banknote or whatever, almost open it like a door for Bugs Funny to step through if they want to.
Yeah, I will step through, and I can occupy the same space as you actually, because I'm just a bunch of bugs. I can just mold myself into whatever space is available beside
Nice.
you or around you. If we want to check what's in there, maybe you could make a tiny little hole and I can just have a look with your pew pew laser.
Please define tiny.
Just if you with the laser, just go boop, pew, boop, just so one of my guys can go in and check this out.
Got it.
Just quickly, I don't think we were supposed to look in there.
They'll never know it's a tiny hole.
Hey, okay.
We'll also point out you've already damaged the crate.
Hey.
I mean, Domestic's got an instruction now, so as they step through with Bugs Funny surrounding them, they'll also put back the plate of the wall and quickly zip around with the laser to weld it back on.
Yeah,
So
you'll
it's almost
notice
just
as
like
you
a-
walk through the ship, actually, there's all sorts of parts of wall where it's just been melded back into shape.
But they'll step up to the crate and adjust the laser down, probably. Mm-hmm. Actually, let's say that they've got like Inspector Gadget style Swiss Army knife fingers.
Yeah,
So one pops open
course.
with like a very, very tiny drill bit, and they've taken tiny very literally. So it's about, actually they're a robot. It's exactly the right size for one of Bugs Funny to slip through, one of their bugs. So they just drill into the thing, just very, very gently.
Bug funny.
Yeah. Okay, so the ability for me to go through that space is called Swarm, which I need to roll for, I believe.
Wait, is all of you going through the
No,
single file?
It says you can move through any opening large enough for a single Waranan insect. So, yeah.
Right.
It's just one of me, but I still have
I
to
thought
roll
you were just
for
going
it.
to fill the crate. Like whoever's in there just suddenly.
Well, I guess I
swarm
technically
of
could. I
bugs.
could just like file through this one hole.
One at a time.
Yeah.
Everyone queue up. Okay, so obviously it's quite dark in there. So imagine, if you will, Lolis, you are now a single Rawnan bug, and you're just marching in through this tiny hole. And at the moment, you can just see like an inky, gloomy blackness, right? But then, as you just sort of stand there for a second, just peering around, the inky blackness just sort of like opens up, and you realize you're staring at a giant eye that is just like glistening at you and just looking very confused at you.
Okay. Well, I have telepathy, which with which I can communicate telepathically with any creature I can see that understands a language. Any
Whoa.
language, I presume. And those who willingly accept one of my Rornans into their body can communicate telepathically with any others who accept an insect from my hive and me. So,
Oh, wow.
essentially,
okay,
I'm
so
trying
you
to...
can turn into earpieces for the rest of the crew as well.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So you're trying to telepathically communicate with this creature.
Yes.
Okay. What message are you sending out?
Who are you? Cool.
Oh.
Not much of a talker. So is it just an eye? Or like is it just an eye that's in there, or do I just see an eye?
You just see an eye.
Okay. I thought it was just like a giant eye in a crate. Do you wanna come out? Do you wanna join us? How about
I will
Blink?
just say, by the way, everyone else can hear them.
Yeah.
They're not talking telepathically.
Blink, yes? Okay, and I guess I don't need to come out. The rest of my Bugs Funny persona person thing says this kid wants to get out. Whatever's in there, he wants to come out. It wants to come out.
Yeah, so there's a living thing in there then, huh?
It's got an eye, at least one. That's all I can see.
Giant eye.
Why is everyone from 1920s in New York now? It's got an eye, see? That's all I can tell you.
Jerry says, I remember when I saw my mother's eye for the first time. It was a very long time ago, but I'm going to tell you this story anyway. And then, yeah, Jerry's off on one.
Okay, I turn to Doom, and I'm like, Huh?
You want me to open the crate?
Yeah, I mean, there's something in there. Let's come out.
Okay.
As soon as you say yes, Domestic picks up the crate and in each hand kind of takes one side and just pulls the thing apart.
You see this
like
bug
cracking an
like
egg.
flying out like really quickly, like kind of flies into your face for a second because
Yeah.
it's like so scared.
But
Right,
yeah,
Matt,
almost
this-
just like cracking an egg onto the floor, just pulls the two halves apart.
You are very strong, but
Immediately.
this is a very reinforced armored crate, so I'm going to need, if you're going to do it with physical strength, well, not strength, but you know what I mean. If you're going to do it physically, then I'm going to need a roll from you. What would you
okay.
like to use?
Well, how about athletics? Because like it's a test of physical strength,
Sure.
and also I've got an 8 in athletics.
Oh, that
Okay,
helps.
sounds good. Let's call this, I'm going to say this is a 4 complexity.
Okay,
Oh, wow.
I will roll. Oh,
That is 3 sixes.
Whoa!
I don't know if there's like a specific rule for what happens when you triple rather than double. But yeah, as you try to pull it apart, like there just doesn't seem to be enough purchase on either side. Like your hands are just sort of pulling off as you try it. It's a quite sort of like sheer-sided object.
Some bugs lift as if I had an eyebrow. So like they move in a way. They essentially like make a pyramid where one of them holds the other one's legs, and it looks like I'm raising an eyebrow. I'm like, couldn't you have just lasered it?
Well, I figured that might hurt the creature inside.
As you're chatting, in fact, no, you two are sort of chatting together. It's Jerry who has just finished
Yeah.
a fascinating story
Oh.
about the first time they saw their mother's eyes.
yeah.
Who sees like a green liquid start to seep out of the small hole that one of Bug Funny's moved into.
Hey, I think it's doing a wee or something in there. I don't know. There's some sort of liquid coming out. It's oozy.
It is oozy, and I'm not talking the guns.
Yeah.
One of my bugs goes over and like sits on it and licks it with its little
Oh
bug
no!
mouth.
What? Okay.
You want to lick it?
Just one of my bugs is gonna lick it. Yeah.
Okay, just a little
Wow.
sacrificial lamb, is it?
Yeah.
Mysterious seepage just gonna.
Whoa, mysterious seepage. I want to lick you. All right, okay. So one of the raw nam bugs, Bug Funny, licks the side of this like for you, huge amorphous drip, right? And it's got like a sort of jello-like texture, but with like a slimy exterior. And it doesn't really taste of anything. You don't feel sick or anything like that. But you can't seem to like grab one small particle of it, if that makes sense. Like you can't lick part of it off of the glob. It's all very consistent and it won't really pull apart. Like it has a high surface tension. But as you're sort of figuring this out, it's just slowly just oozing out.
Gross.
Hey, Bugs Bunny, you tried to talk to this, whatever's in there, right? But, no communication? You can't tell it to maybe stop, oozing?
It seems to understand what I'm saying, but I don't know what it's trying to say to me. I just know it wants to come out.
Well, something's definitely coming out at the moment. I think, yeah, Jerry's gonna use, yeah. The problem is, I'll be honest with you, Jerry's not really amazing at bodily functions. When it comes to
You
something
make it sound like they've
technical-
got IBS rather than anything.
Excellent, but Jerry's just looking at the oozeness, and does the ship have some form of computer?
Yeah, you've got a what is called a magical intelligence, which is kind of the AI that runs the ship.
Is there like a flask or a container of some sort that Jerry can use to scoop up some of this gloop?
I'm not sure what that has to do with the previous question, but yes, there's cups and things in the kitchen if you want to grab one of those.
Yeah, Jerry's gonna like buzz on over there, pick up a cup and collect some of the ooze coming from the hole. Well, I never thought I'd say that. Go over to the magical computer component.
So you can't separate. So if you're grabbing the cup to try and get a sample of it will not separate
will
from itself.
not separate,
It's
it's
very
just
much like
one-
one cohesive object.
Is it? Jerry's thinking, is it like a limb of some sort? Like, can Jerry just poke it?
It wobbles like jello.
Jiggles and wobbles. Okay, Jerry's gonna go over to. Can the magical computer hear us from anywhere in the ship?
Yeah, anywhere on the ship. Yeah.
Okay. Does it have a name? Chaos.
Yeah, let's say that the name of the AI is the name of
Okay.
the ship, so it's Chaos.
Jerry's gonna say,
it's Karen
hey,
Chaos."
Hey, Chaos, baby. We got
Hello,
a
Jerry, be moved.
We got a situation here. This crate
Yes, I can see.
This crate we have is oozing some kind of fluids. Do you know what they are?
1 second. My scans do not depict anything dangerous about the fluid object coming out of the crate.
Hey, well, that's great to know. You do know what it is, or?
I am afraid there is no record of this creature.
Well, thanks, baby.
You are welcome, baby. As you've been chatting with the with the MI, this like limb of goo, as you've described it, has come out of the crate and is now kind of like wrapping itself around the crate.
Okay.
which seems like it's just sort of like getting a grip for a second, and then after a while it starts to quiver, and you can see the metal of the crate start bending inward as the immense strength of whatever this liquid is, until after a while the top of this container literally pops off, and there is a huge heavy thunk on the floor as this like thick plated steel drops onto the ground, and as the limb starts to sort of retract itself, you can see that it just sort of like starts quivering again from the top as more of this green goop starts to pour out from the top. As it quivers, you can see that the steel is now buckling from the inside, until once again the wall that is closest to the entrance of the cargo bay just collapses down. And that is when you see the entire crate is filled to the brim with this green goop, and floating in that goop is one solitary big wet eye that is just sort of like floating
I knew
around,
it was just a big eye. I knew
just
it.
looking.
Hey, you licked that.
And after a few seconds, it goes and just starts looking at you all. No, the whole goop is one thing.
Okay, so the goop is okay. So I just thought the eye just rolled out of the goop. Okay.
No, the eyeball is very much part of it.
Right. Okay.
Is the goop quite spread out at this point, or is it kind
Yeah,
of...
it's sort of flattened out onto the floor now.
Okay, I think Domestic will either retrieve from nearby, or I guess in the start... I guess maybe they operate like Bender from Futurama and just kind of have like an open storage utility
Like
in
a
them.
mini fridge, yeah.
Yeah, but brings out a kind of steel bucket and starts trying to scoop the green kind of liquid material goop into the bucket, like trying to clean up and put the eye and all of its green attachment into a bucket.
So as you're picking it up, it's just sort of like, it's almost like spilling over you. Like you can't really pick it up because your hands just go up and the liquid just follows you, right? It's very much just fitting whatever space it's in. Like
A bit like me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you feel a bit of a kindred spirit in this goop. Bugs Funny.
Yeah.
But as you're picking it up, the goop is making like a sort of noise, like it's like. Whoa.
Jerry looks at the eye monster. How big is this eye monster?
It filled the crate, so it if you were to sort of like put it in a sphere, it would probably be like 10 feet across.
Oh wow, okay.
But it's just gooping everywhere.
Yeah, I think Jerry sort of starts flying up a bit just to kind of maybe not get their foot in the goops, and looks at the eye monster and says, "Hey, here's looking at you, kid." And then says to Domestic, I don't think that's gonna work. Just let him sort of goop around, be free.
Domestic just shows you the empty bucket and is like,
Agreed. You can see I've had no success so far.
Well, you tried. That's what matters. Here, give me a hug. Jerry sort of flies up to Domestic. Like,
As you say,
their
give me a
arms.
hug, the goop starts forming arms and wraps itself around you and makes like a noise. And then you see the eye just sort of sliver its way up in front of you, and then a little gap underneath it forms like a weird open smile.
Aww.
Hey!
So cute.
I like him.
Can we keep him?
Now, what were you doing in this crate, huh? Yeah.
can Domestic search their own data bank or communicate with Chaos to try and translate or at least identify the language that the green goop monster is making?
Sure. What skill do you want to try and use for this?
That's a fine question, Wills.
Does
how...
does
There is
Domestic
computers.
does Domestic know the language of groans?
Yeah, I think computers, because it's more of like a searching the data bank than anything else.
Right, this is going to be super complex because this is technically a creature that nobody has ever seen before, according to Chaos. So let's call this a 5.
Oh, okay.
Whoa.
Here it comes.
Oh,
Oh, 2 2s. That was very close. Only one double. Okay. So, like, you can get a general gist of what the thing is trying to say, but it's not really a language. So, like, there's no translating. It's more just making nice noises when it feels happy. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like the purr of a cat. It's not really a phrase or a word that they're trying to communicate. It's just a feeling.
I think Jerry's just enjoying being embraced by this slimy goop monster.
You're having a great time,
Yeah.
Jerry.
I love physical intimacy.
As you're having this chat and /hug, Chaos boops up again, and you get like a little bidoo notification on your arm, Doom, as someone's trying to hail your communication system for the ship.
I think Jerry looks over at Domestic like,
yeah, I think like Domestic would instantly answer it and be like,
Hello, did you hear about the green goo monster?
Hello, you are through to.
If you would like to have a conversation with me, press 1.
calling about the green goo monster. We appreciate your time. Thanks for holding.
So you bring up the visual communication, and anyone who wants to can check their own wrist computer, and you should be able to see it.
I don't think Jerry can at the moment. Jerry's just-
Yeah, yours will be tinted a bit green, Jerry, but there's
10,000 of my bugs check their little wrists.
yeah, they've all got their own individual wrist computers, and a small holographic screen will pop up for you, and you see like a sort of connection circle just sort of buffering for a second, and then a dark and gloomy picture of a person with a very large hood shadowing their face to the point where you can only see their mouth talking, says, "Do you have the package?" And you recognize this as the voice of the person who posted the job in the first place.
Yes, it's here.
Jerry's looking at Domestic being like,
We've opened it, and there was a green creature inside.
Jerry's nodding, shaking their head.
Fools! What do you mean you've opened it?
Well, the crate is no longer closed. It's
I know what you meant in terms of actualities. I meant, why have you done this?
well, it technically opened itself. The green creature. Do you know its name?
We know not its name, but we know its purpose, and we know that it is very dangerous.
I'm going to
It
call
was
it Ice Slime.
Oh, that's good. What purpose does it have? Maybe that can help us figure out the rest.
The purpose is not for you to know. You are merely the courier. Now you are approaching the meeting point. I ask that you open your ship so that we can come in. We will pay you your dues, and we will take the eye slime, as you call it, back to our ship so that we can use it for its purpose.
Hey, not to, question your authority or whatever. Just want to make sure. The fate of this eye slime. You're not thinking of doing any, nasty experiments, torturing, any sort of.
The fate of the eye slime has been not decided yet.
Could we, sway you against doing those things?
We can talk about it on the ship.
Okay.
While this communication's open, can Domestic or Chaos run the equivalent of like a phone tap and find out where it's coming from? Or find out the details of the person calling? Do we know the details of the person that posted this?
Yeah, well, so you know that you've been hailed by... so the person who contacted you for the job is called Oppo. They are a member of an organization that they did not want to necessarily tell you about. And you bought it from an organization that didn't necessarily want you to know about them either. So you can tell that this is probably an illegal trade that they're doing. But, you know, you've done illegal trades before. This isn't necessarily your first rodeo. If you want to wiretap them and try and find some more information about them, I would ask you to probably roll computers again, unless you've got another suggestion.
Computer sounds good.
Okay, so let's call this a 4.
All right. E.
I can only see 2 of those dice for some reason, but
Oh.
that's fine.
Yeah, same
I
here.
think for some reason, it didn't roll the 4, even though I clicked on 4. Okay.
Roll 2 more.
I was
and see if
a
you
bit
get it.
quick. Oh.
Ah, yeah, that's 2 6s. Yeah, so you can't find any specific information as to what organization runs this this sort of strange ship that you're seeing, but you are getting like a schematic that Chaos is providing. It's got like a sort of imagine like an insect style visual where you've got like a sort of almost wings coming out that appear to be not only transporting the ship, but also have like a sort of like weapon attachments and things like that. Which, you know, you've got your own weapons attachments. You're not judging, but they do look like they could probably take you in a fight if you were to get into a dogfight with them in space. You're kind of more of a cargo crawler ship than you are a fighter ship, so they look a little bit more kitted out than you are.
Okay. Yeah, I think, yeah, Jerry just says, well, see you there then. Have a good trip.
Very well. We will send out our cargo ship to come and collect the offering, and we will bring with us the funds, if you will. We are not sure who is monitoring this channel, and thus we must be quite careful with the things that we say. I am sure you understand.
Can Jerry do a quick perception check
Mm-hmm.
to see whether they can see anything within the hood?
Yeah, give me a 3 complexity challenge on perception.
Okay. That go.
Woo!
Nice.
So yeah, you can tell that this person is I've forgotten the name of the race. Hold on, give me 1 second. This person is an Ulran. They are essentially and the people at home will get a slight spoiler as I'm looking at that sheet. But they're essentially like one of the standard species that you've met around the galaxy. The most interesting thing is that they seem to actually be wearing a mask underneath their hood, which seems to be like quite a bright white, which is covering everything but their mouth right now.
Okay. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. I think Jerry just goes back to staring at this hive slime.
Do we know approximately how far away we are from the destination, the rendezvous place?
You're closing in on it now, so like it would take like a couple of minutes for them to fly over. So you'll probably, if you went over to the cockpit, you could probably see them off in the distance.
Okay. I think Jerry's gonna pat the ice slime and say, "Hey, this has been great. But could you maybe put me down?" Points.
And
they
the
point
arms
to
just sort of go and just deform themselves.
Yeah, Jerry falls to the floor. Oh! Do they have any slime on them, or is it just?
No, it doesn't seem to leave any trace of itself.
Ooze,
Like
it's
it
just-
is very much like
Okay.
yeah, it's got super high surface tension, which means that it's not actually like leaving any residue anywhere.
Is it like one of those aliens that used to get in eggs? Like the
Yeah.
latexy
Oh
kind of.
god,
Yeah.
gross.
Yeah. Domestic is like,
Uh, I can only compute without emotional judgment. But if you wish to protect this creature, I have an idea.
I'm listening. What do you think, Bugs Bunny?
We're listening.
I'm assuming you've stopped the communications now, by the way.
yeah. Okay.
If you find a place to hide this creature, I can attempt to supply the buyer with a decoy.
Okay.
Sure.
Like a fake version of our friend here.
Yes.
Okay, if you're agreeing to that, Domestic is going to go to effectively the kitchen area, I guess, where they were flambeing the chicken before, the chicken and the lettuce. And can they use whatever available food supply storage? Can they knock together effectively like corn flour and syrup, whatever the space equivalent of corn flour and syrup?
Space cornflower and space syrup.
Yeah.
That will create the green goop, a bit of food colouring, obviously. And then to replace the eye, can they find? I'm trying to think. Okay,
A pickled
How-
onion?
I was thinking like a coconut meat. Coconut meat is white, isn't it? Is there a coconut?
Yeah, or
Can
a
we get
hard-boiled egg.
3D printed
A
coconut.
big egg.
Well, it needs to be big enough, right?
An ostrich egg.
Big. Yeah.
I don't know
Space
what food
ostrich,
you carry on
yeah.
this ship.
Do we have do we have a big alien egg?
Yeah, or some kind of equivalent, or or either that or just fashion it out of something that's nearby. But I would like to create a fake eye to go in this goop, and then
Okay.
we'll put that in the bucket
Yeah.
that Domestic was carrying.
Matt, what skill would you like to use for this?
You know what, Wills? I don't think they really accounted for this. Okay, let's think. Well, I've got deceive, but I don't
Yeah.
know if we're deceiving just yet. If this is just the creation, so I could maybe use knowledge.
The creation is deceiving, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
You're
You don't want to use
hesitant
deceive because it's a D4.
Either that or we go with like streetwise because it's just knocking together like stuff like it's improvising and using kind of latent knowledge. but-
Engineering maybe more so.
Yeah, I could see engineering. You're engineering a substance.
Yeah, I'll take engineering. That's higher than my rating in deceive. Thanks. Yeah, if you're happy for me to roll engineering to knock this together.
Let's give it a go. It's certainly going to be complex, I'll tell you that. We'll call it another 4. So you're rolling d6s. Let's see how we do.
I think in the meantime,
Oh,
Oh, come on.
Jerry's gonna offer their hand. One
In
of them.
marriage?
We're finally doing it. No, Jerry. Yeah. Instead of marrying a human, Jerry's gonna marry this
Ice slime.
ice slime. Yeah. Jerry's gonna hold up their hand to the ice slime, offer it, and then kind of lead them into the kitchen, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're gonna try and find like a writing materials. They're gonna give the ice slime like a pen, put some paper on the table, and then they're gonna use their skills of empathy
Right.
to kind of emotionally connect with the ice slime.
Okay.
And be like, hey, we want to know your whole shtick. So if you could just tell us what you are, where you've come from, and what you want to do, and write it on this piece of paper. And they're gonna kind of try and go from their eyes to the big eye, and try and like emotionally look into the soul of the ice slime.
I think
What's
I'm stood at the door of the kitchen being like, I don't really think we've got time for this. Aren't we trying to hide it?
Yeah, to be honest, I won't even ask for a skill roll for this one. You put the pen and paper on top of this thing, and it kind of just absorbs it into itself, and it's now just floating inside.
Well, it's a form of expression. Yeah, I think Jerry's just gonna look at Bugs Bunny and say, "Do you know where we can hide this thing?"
Well, I'm just looking at this ship here. It looks like, are those walls on the left and right, would those be hollow? Do you think we could get Laser Boy to... Do you think we could get Laser Boy to maybe carve a hole and we can just get it into the hole, into the little void in the wall of the ship?
Do you mean where the curvature of the hull is?
Yeah.
I would assume that might go into space if you're not careful.
But like that's a wall, then there's an outer wall, right? Like there's...
Yeah.
I was thinking.
I mean, look.
There's vents! Why don't we find some vents?
There's always vents, as
Yeah,
Alex always knows.
Can Jerry do a perception check to look for a vent that we can stick the ice slime in?
Sure. Sure, why not?
Okay.
Jerry, what's your perception?
It's 8.
It's your D8. Okay. Let's just call it a complexity 3 challenge.
Right. Come on.
Oh,
Oh my goodness. You've had some bad luck. Okay, so here's where we currently are sitting. You've got Domestic is currently holding like an off-green bucket of slop with like a massive coconut and egg formed into an orb that's just sort of floating in the top of it. And you've just put that on a table somewhere, hoping for the best. Meanwhile, you two are just sort of like desperately searching through.
Can I be
the
knocking on the wall to see if
yeah,
there's like
knocking
hollow?
on the wall. You've got one of those stud finders, and you're like trying to find like hollow parts of the wall to try and like knock through. And as you're doing all of this, you feel like on the back of the ship as the docking gear activates. And there is a alarm from the airlocks as somebody is asking to come in.
Jerry
We will see, though, what happens next, Mian, on the next episode of our Burn Bryte Let's Play. Thank you very, very much for watching. Oh, you thought, didn't you? We'll see what happens on the next episode. Thank you very, very much for watching. This Let's Play has been sponsored by Roll20 themselves. If you want to see more about Burn Bryte, you can check the links in the description below. But if you want to see more from us, then we are here all the time on Dicebreaker. YouTube.com/Dicebreaker. You can hit subscribe and click the bell icon to get notified whenever we put a new video live. On Dicebreaker.com, these two lovely people, Matt and Alex Meehan, are writing all sorts of fantastic articles of all of our lovely contributors.
It's
you
true.
can go and find them over there. It is true. And you can also grab, last but not least, some exclusive merch over at dicebreaker.myshopify.com. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you on episode 2, and have a lovely day.
Bye.
bye-bye.